Welcome back to episode 119 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and I am the horde that was vanquished.
A vanquished horde?
A vanquished horde.
Oh no, what
all
happened?
Of me.
All of you was vanquished?
All of me was vanquished.
And all of you was horde. And I'm your other host, Mike, and the other day I was working on a light fixture in my house when I had an electric revelation that I probably should have turned the power off first.
An electric revelation.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You don't want to get shocked. Shocking.
It was a very shocking experience for me. That is absolutely true. Took 2 damage all over the place.
All over the place.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
So we have a couple of announcements, but before we do that, I want to talk about what I did this past weekend. Yeah. I got to go to Gen Con. Wow. I was very excited. I got to play some Magic. I got to play some board games. Most notably, I think the thing I was most excited about was, funny enough, at the eBay booth. Didn't expect to go to the eBay booth.
Okay.
They were handing out playmats by Aaron Miller.
Oh.
And Aaron Miller was there, so I got mine signed. That was very cool. But also, you got to pick a token. And you either got there was a Charizard. It was I believe it was a Charizard.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, I didn't look very hard at it. Or you got a zombie token for Magic that was themed after Post Malone.
Okay.
So I got a Post Malone zombie.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like I need to make a zombie deck.
I think you should. And I've been thinking about it, honestly, about what you should make. And I really feel like I haven't seen a zombie deck in more than the Esper colors lately. And it would be really cool if it at least included some green. You get some Ravnicas. You get your Golgari zombies that way.
Yeah.
And I know there's a red zombie out there somewhere too.
We're talking about a zombie today.
We are
talking about some zombie
today.
Zombie.
That's very
could
true.
Be in blue black. Could be.
That's
still in Esper
boring.
colors. Still in Esper colors. And I also got to do the Innistrad Midnight Hunt pre-release while we were there.
Nice.
So that was really cool. I went 2-1. I got a couple packs. I didn't open anything crazy, but I got to meet a bunch of people, hand out a bunch of Guardian Project podcast tokens.
Nice. Guerrilla marketing. That's what we like.
Exactly. If you were at Gen Con, you know who we are now because I talked to all of you. No, I probably talked to a good 15 to 20 people though. And it was a lot of fun. Sad it was very quick, but it was much smaller than previous years, and we were only there really during our scheduled games. So I don't go just for Magic. We go for mostly board games. So I got to play a couple new board games. Atlantis Rising was very cool. So if you're into board games, Gen Con's really cool. So hopefully next year it is much different than the world is now, and everybody can go.
Did they have a commander zone or anything like that for Magic?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There was a whole area. There were pods firing the whole time. They had mystery booster drafts. They had Time Spiral Remaster drafts. They had Innistrad Midnight Hunt drafts. The actual pre-release kits were they were sold out for most of their events for anything that was Midnight Hunt related. It was. I didn't play any Commander. I just didn't have time. We had scheduled games, and then by the time you play your game, it's 2 hours. You go and you eat lunch, then you got to come back and there's another game,
for sure.
Or you. And for most of our stuff, when we weren't at a scheduled event, we were hanging out back at our hotel playing games there.
Sure.
So Gen Con was fun, but we do have a couple of announcements this week. The first one comes actually from Architect. We did have an update 0.9.2. This came with a couple of features here: multi-search, salt scores, and salt sum. On the homepage now, there's a multi-search feature that is hopefully going to make it easier for people to find what they're looking for on Architect. You can look through decks and cards. You can search by user there. It also now links the EDHREC salt score to Architect, which is wonderful because I really wanted to see what my decks looked like. So if you are unfamiliar, EDHREC, you can go and vote on how salty a card makes you on a scale of 1 to 4. I believe it's 1 to 4. 4 being, I never want to see this card again. 1 being, I don't care. Or I guess 0 being, I'm unaffected at all. And so anyway, using those scores from EDHREC, you can now go to the main page of your Commander deck and see the salt sum. So you can hover over where you see your salt sum, and it tells you how salty It is. And remember, this is crowdsourced data, not to be taken too seriously. It is specifically referenced here in the update. So don't take that personally. There's a couple of other things. Dark mode color scheme. People wanted it even darker. I use dark mode. I don't use light mode. There was a redesign of the homepage. They've moved where the ads are. And then there is now a page that can be navigated to by selecting view all for articles. And then a couple of bug fixes here. But the salt score is really cool to see. They did say islands have a higher salt score than the other basic lands. Yeah. So to be fair, if you're already playing blue, your salt score is going to be higher inherently. Mm-hmm. My Noyendark comes in around 40, which is very high. Mm-hmm. The average, I believe, was 32 or 34.
34.12.
34.12 is the average salt score. So I had posted, a bunch of people were posting, many coming in all over the place. But I think it is very reflective of what people don't want to see. And unfortunately, people just don't want to see blue. A lot of the blue cards are really affecting your salt scores.
I will say, and I know this is definitely like an extreme, but my Kess Dissident Mage, my CEDH Kess Consultation deck that includes Notion Thief and Narset Parter of Veils, rings in at a 67.34 salt score. So most definitely. I mean, it also has the Cyclonic Rift and all the counter spells in there and everything. So you could do worse,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the fast mana cards are coming in real high there. Mm-hmm. Looking at my Malcolm and Vile Smasher, which is my main competitive deck, my salt score is higher than most of my decks.
Oh yeah.
I think it was in the 70s.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I remember correctly. So actually, I have it right here, and it is coming in at 70.15.
Yeah, more than mine.
Yep.
Nice.
So people just don't want to see it. So if you have not seen that yet, go check out your salt score, and you can compare that, and you can see if people, really like your cards or really don't like your cards on average, based on personal opinions, not fact.
And then change all of your deck list based completely.
We are not asking you to do that.
Another announcement that we wanted to say, well, really a thank you to our new patron, Arsalan. Thank you so much. And welcome to the community.
Welcome to our project. What are we working on now? We moved on from that last project. We finished that.
Yeah.
We're not writing a paper, though.
We should start accumulating a body of knowledge.
That was a good one.
And just do like free. Everyone just does free research and just give us all of your research, and we'll accumulate it into a book, sell the book, make a bunch of money, and you'll be a footnote in there, and you'll get popular for it and make us a bunch of money.
Footnote for being a footnote in my book
of our
the
body of
Project,
knowledge,
the body of knowledge,
our Guardian Project body of knowledge.
Hey, if you want to support our show, you can head to patreon.com/Guardian Project Pod and donate for any dollar amount. We've got lots of cool stuff in there. You get access to our Patreon lounge and Discord, and we want to have you there.
And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, whatever platform you're enjoying the podcast on now, if you could rate, subscribe, review, and leave comments, we would be really appreciative.
We would. And you can find us online at theguardianprojectpodcast.com. You can find our social media on Twitter at GuardianPod, gameplay videos at youtube.com/theguardianproject, and you can email us at guardianprojectpod at gmail.com. Not D-mail, Gmail.
Not Gmail.
G as in Gary, not D as in dog.
You think D-mail's a real thing?
D-mail.
Like demon mail.
Demon mail.
You can.
Don't. We don't.
It's Razaketh in there. You got to email me at razaketh@dmail.com.
He would definitely send you spam. His emails get filtered to my spam. That's for sure. Coyle, what are we talking about this week?
So since Innistrad Midnight Hunt is being officially released this week, we talked about our favorite cards. We're going to put in Commander decks last week. This week, we are going to talk about the combo. So going over to commanderspellbook.com, we're going to see all the new Commander combos that we get featuring cards from Innistrad Midnight Hunt.
Okay, what flavor of combos are we talking about as we go through these?
Did you like that I sent you a picture of like 6 different flavors of combos in our group chat today?
You did. But we should eat combos next time we do this.
I thought about that. Like, honestly, this morning I was like, ASMR, us eating combos, talking about combos. I don't think I would be more disgusted by listening to something. I couldn't do it. I could not.
Well, okay, so in honor of your favorite flavor of combos, which is 7-layer dip, I think it's time that we dip into it. I'm really proud of that transition.
That was deep.
It was a deep cut.
Yeah, 7 layers deep.
I dipped. Dived.
And when you dip, I dip.
We dipped with seven whole layers. So, Coyle, start us off. We are just going to go through a bunch of combos, new things that I'm very excited to try out some decks, and some of these won't take a whole lot to incorporate into some of the decks I currently have.
Definitely not. So we're going to start off with one of our brand new zombies that we have from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. And this is Champion of the Parish. So a play on the Champion of the Parish. So Champion of the Perished. For 1 black, you get a 1/1 zombie. It says whenever another zombie enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Perished. In combination with the cards Gave, Guru of Spores, however you pronounce it.
Agave.
I always think about tequila when I'm talking about this guy, so I'm definitely in the agave troop. So Gave is a 0/0 that enters the battlefield with 5 +1/+1 counters. It's in the Abzan color, so 2 white, black, and a green. Has 2 activated abilities. The first one is for 1 generic mana. You can remove a +1/+1 counter from a creature you control to create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. And the second ability is for 1 generic mana. You could sacrifice a creature to put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. Ashnod's Altar is the third part of this combo. Ashnod's Altar is a 3-mana artifact where you can sacrifice a creature to add 2 colorless to your mana pool. And the last piece here is Maskwood Nexus from Kaldheim. So this is a 4-mana artifact that says creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. It also has an ability to pay 3 and tap it to create a 2/2 blue shapeshifter creature token, which isn't going to be relevant for this particular combo. So to start off, all the permanents have to be on the battlefield. And a creature you control has to have a +1/+1 counter on it, and you have to have 1 generic mana available. The steps here are you activate Gave by paying 1 and removing a +1/+1 counter from the creature that you control with a +1/+1 counter to create a 1/1 sapling creature token. Since you have Maskwood Nexus out, this 1/1 sapling creature token is also every other creature type, and it will enter as a zombie, putting a +1/+1 counter on Champion of the Perished. You can then kill the sapling token to create 2 generic mana and infinitely repeat this in order to create infinite creature tokens, infinite colorless mana, infinite enter the battlefield triggers, infinite leave the battlefield triggers, infinite death triggers, and infinite sacrifice triggers. It's a bit to get all this together. Maybe you're already going to be playing Maskwood Nexus and Ashnod's Altars in your Gave deck, so throwing in Champion of the Parish isn't going to be that big of a deal. And then you have a 4-card combo there. But yeah.
That was my thought. I think this one fits easily into people who are playing Gave already. It's fun just having another redundant combo.
For sure. And
says me, the combo guy.
And there is also some other cards that you can use in this combo. It is important to be able to produce 2 colorless mana with Ashnod's Altar, so that particular part of the combo can't be changed. Gave is important, and Champion of the Parish is obviously the only reason we're talking about it, but Maskwood Nexus can actually be replaced by cards like Arcane Adaptation, Xenograft, and Conspiracy. So if those different colors are something that you want, I mean, Maskwood Nexus being colorless can fit in everything. If you have a way to tutor for enchantments versus tutoring for artifacts, maybe you want to go with some of those other routes in your deck.
Yeah. The next combo here is with Wilhelp the Rot Cleaver. So this is the face commander of the Innistrad Midnight Hunt, one of the Innistrad Midnight Hunt precons. So Wilhelp the Rot Cleaver is a 3/3 legendary zombie warrior for 2, a blue and a black. It says whenever another zombie you control dies, if it didn't have Decayed, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token with Decayed. So Decayed's that new mechanic that we have here. So Decayed zombies are 2/2s that can't block, and after they attack, you sacrifice them. Wilhelp also says at the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice a zombie. If you do, you can draw a card. This combos with Poppet Stitcher, but specifically the backside for Poppet Factory, and then a sack outlet. So Blasting Station, for example. So Poppet Stitcher, the the actual backside is Poppet Factory. So Poppet Factory is an artifact that says creature tokens you control lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 3/3. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may transform Poppet Factory. And then the final piece here is Blasting Station. You can tap it, sacrifice a creature, and it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. It's an artifact for 3. It says whenever a creature comes into play, you may untap Blasting Station. So looking at this, Will Help requires the zombie to not have decayed to make another decayed zombie.
Mhm.
The Poppet Factory says that all tokens are 3/3s with no abilities, so it will not have decayed. So you can sacrifice the zombie. You are going to deal 1 damage to somebody.
Mhm.
Because it didn't have decayed, you're going to get another zombie, and Blasting Station will untap. And you just rinse and repeat until you have pinged down your opponents.
Absolutely.
This one is fun.
Yeah, and it can use any different sacrifice outlet, right? As long as I know Blasting Station untaps when a creature comes in.
Mm-hmm.
If you have something that doesn't require tapping, maybe you can produce an infinite amount of mana, or if you use like an Altar of Dementia, then you can mill out all of your opponents and everything with it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Will Help's really, really
it's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really, really cool. So I'm excited about this one.
All right, the next one we have here is revolving around a new card called Ominous Roost. So this is an uncommon enchantment for 2 and a blue that says when Ominous Roost enters the battlefield or whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard, you create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying, and this creature can block only creatures with flying. In combination with Gravecrawler, for 1 black, you get a 2/1 zombie that can't block, and you can cast it from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie. And Phyrexian Altar, another sacrifice outlet, for 3 mana, you get an artifact that says sacrifice a creature to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Using these 3 and another zombie, you do have to have 1 other zombie in order to be able to cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard. You can, in fact, perform a loop. So if all permanents are on the battlefield, and again, you control another zombie other than Gravecrawler, you can activate Phyrexian Altar by sacrificing Gravecrawler to add a black, and then cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard for that same black, and repeat that infinitely in order to create an infinite amount of 1/1 bird creature tokens. So not only do you get all those creature tokens, but you can then sacrifice all of those birds to your Phyrexian Altar to create infinite amount of any color of mana that you need, infinite enter the battlefield and leave the battlefield triggers, death triggers, sacrifice triggers, and even storm count here if you want to. So it's just, there's a few different cards out there like that help you produce either bat tokens or zombie tokens or something when things leave your graveyard or you cast stuff from your graveyard and stuff. So this is just another one of those.
Yeah. One of the new cards that a lot of people really loved the artwork for, Fleshtaker, which looks like it's a character that has like a bull mask on, and they're holding like a meat cleaver in the middle of like a cornfield. Terrifying card, but very, very cool. Fleshtaker, combining with Trudge Garden and Ashnod's Altar, is going to get you some infinite triggers here for entering the battlefield, leaving the battlefield, death triggers, sacrifice triggers, infinite life gain, and scries. So Fleshtaker is a 2/2 human assassin for white and a black. It says whenever you sacrifice another creature, you may gain 1 life and scry 1. And you can pay 1 to sacrifice another creature. Fleshtaker gets +2/+2 till end of turn. We've talked about Ashnod's Altar already. You sacrifice a creature to get 2 colorless mana. In Trudge Garden, actually, we talked about during the Strixhaven set. So it combos with some things previously, so we're getting some new combos with Trudge Garden. It's an enchantment that says whenever you gain life, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 4/4 green Fungus beast creature token with trample. So you just have to have all of these on the battlefield and then have 1 additional creature, right? You're going to have something to be able to sacrifice. So you activate Ashnod's Altar by sacrificing a creature to get 2 mana. Fleshtaker is going to trigger to give you a life, and you get to scry 1. And then Trudge Garden says you can pay 2 to create a 4/4 beast. You're just going to then continue that by sacrificing it, and you're gonna gain life and scry and all in the Abzan colors here. This seems like a lot of fun. I mean, this is a flavor win here.
Oh, for sure.
the Fleshtaker is just, I guess actually Ashnod's Altar's taking out, not necessarily the Fleshtaker, but you could argue that you're getting the benefits of Fleshtaker.
Well, the Fleshtaker is taking the flesh off of the altar after it's done with it, for
Gross.
sure.
So it is putting on the skin of 4/4 green fungus beasts constantly.
Just infinitely. So that it's just eventually it's nothing more. It's more fungus than it is Fleshtaker at that
It's
point.
more fungus than flesh.
I think this is a fun part to talk about. Some of the different combinations of combos here, because we talked about Ashnod's Altar, which we've already talked about a lot. But we get to see this interesting combination of also, if you have Mycosynth, a 6-mana artifact that turns everything into artifacts, and Crack Clan Ironworks, a sacrifice outlet specifically for artifacts to make 2 generic mana, it works the same as Ashnod's Altar. It's a way harder to put that together, but it does work.
It is also way more expensive to make it work that way, but by almost $40.
Luckily, KCI is banned in Modern still.
I think it's the Mycosynth Lattice that is our problem
that is
here.
Definitely the problem.
So very, very fun using Trudge Garden and Sacrifice. So if you're playing an Aristocrats deck and you're already in Abzan colors, you might be able to take a peek.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one we're going to talk about is actually probably my favorite legendary creature in the set. From one of the from the zombie commander precon, but not the face commander. This is Eloise, Nephalia Sleuth. So Eloise for 5 mana, for 3 a blue and a black, you get a 4/4 human rogue. This is whenever another creature you control dies, you get to investigate or you create a clue. And whenever you sacrifice a token, you get to surveil one. Oh my gosh, surveil.
Coyle finally got his surveil commander for real though.
Except honestly, I don't think I wouldn't build this particular creature surveil.
You just wish you wanted it. You wouldn't build this as surveil.
I wouldn't build it as surveil only because of the combo potential with this commander. So in combination with a Modern Horizons 2 card called Chatterfang Squirrel General, which is a 3-mana 3/3 Squirrel Warrior with Forest Walk. This says if one or more tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus that many 1/1 green squirrel creature tokens are created instead. And then you can pay a black to sacrifice X squirrels, and target creature gets plus X, minus X until end of turn. In combination with Phyrexian Altar, which we talked about, to sacrifice creatures to make generic mana. Prerequisites: having all permanents on the battlefield, and you have an additional creature to sacrifice to start the combo. The first step you're going to do is activate Phyrexian Altar, sacrificing that extra creature in order to produce 1 mana of any color. Eloise is going to trigger, creating a clue token and a 1/1 squirrel creature token, and then you can activate the altar to sacrifice this creature token. Again, triggering, you get another token plus the squirrel token. You're going to end up making infinite clue tokens, infinite mana, infinite enter the battlefield, leave the battlefield triggers, death triggers, sacrifice triggers. You can even self-mill using the surveil ability that's on there, and infinite card draw that way as well. And then you're going to have mana to even use Chatterfang's ability if you need to in order to kill things. And you should be able to wipe the board and have infinite mana, draw your whole deck, win the game, hopefully. This is in the Sultai color, so none of these can be your face commander.
They are
here.
not. That was my question. Was going to be what are we building? If we're putting this into a deck, are we going to go like Muldrotha to get them back if they die? Eloise or Chatterfang?
Honestly, if you're building a Sultai good stuff deck, Muldrotha is probably the answer. And in my opinion, in terms of the best Sultai commander for a Sultai good stuff deck, I would say Muldrotha.
No Tassiger here.
I don't think so. I think Muldrotha is just more efficient. You get to pick which cards you want.
Sure.
But that's just personal opinion. Muldrotha maybe is a bigger target than Tassiger, and maybe Tassiger will survive a round.
Believe me, I played it during a boxing league.
Yeah,
I know about Muldrotha being a target.
Absolutely.
So let's move to something else that is usually a target, and that is Simic. Yeah. Always target the Simic player.
Kill Simic.
Kill the Simic player. We're going to talk about Sloguk, the Overslime. Can we talk about that name, though, for a second? It's so good.
I feel like it just Slogurked in my throat there for a second.
Is that like when you burp and hiccup at the same time? It's a slow gurk.
Yeah, it just slowly comes up and hurts at the same time.
That's just very painful, very painful. So Sloguk, we're going to play with Azusa the Lost But Seeking and Walk the Aeons to just, take a casual infinite number of turns. What? So to do this combo, you need Sloguk and Azusa on the battlefield. So Sloguk is a 3/3 legendary ooze. For 1 a green and a blue, it has trample. Whenever a land is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Sloguk. You can remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Sloguk to return it to its owner's hand. And whenever Sloguk leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target lands from your graveyard to your hand. So you need Sloguk and Azusa on the battlefield. You have to have at least 3 islands, have Walk the Aeons in your hand, and then you must have 5 generic mana, green, blue, blue, blue available. So you do need 9 mana.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to cast Walk the Aeons, paying its buyback cost. So I guess I should explain Azusa and Walk the Aeons. So Azusa is a 1/2 legendary creature for 2 and a green that says you can play 2 additional lands on your turn. And Walk the Aeon says target player takes an extra turn for 4 blue blue, but has buyback to sacrifice 3 islands. So you can sack 3 islands and you get to put Walk the Aeons back into your hand as it resolves. So you're going to cast Walk the Aeons, paying its buyback costs. So you're paying 4 blue blue and sacrificing 3 islands to get an additional turn. Sloguk triggers and gets 3 counters because you put 3 lands into the graveyard. You're going to activate Sloguk by removing 3 +1/+1 counters from it, returning it to your hand. And then Sloguk triggers, returning the 3 lands from your graveyard to your hand. Play the 3 islands, and then cast Sloguk for 1, a blue, and a green. So it's possible that of these islands, there's a dual color here, because it doesn't say 3 basic islands.
It doesn't. But if you're using a breeding pool and it's coming in untapped every single time, then
Who knows?
You only got 20 turns.
Well, we're on hard mode here, okay? We're on hard mode. You pass the turn, and then you rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you could be playing with a tropical island.
Oh, true. That's very true. That's very true.
If you had it, it could be that. So you really just need to have a blue available after you, or a green available after you play back down those 3 islands. But so you're going to just take infinite turns.
And in colors where you could have Sloguk as your commander.
In colors where Sloguk can be your commander. So another thing that I did when I was at Gen Con was on the drive there and the drive back, we did a community build. So I posted on Twitter. We built a Jaren, Corrupted Bishop, and Sloguk the Overslime. So got lots of fun things with Sloguk. There's another combo that I will be talking about this episode. But this is crazy. But a lot of people were very excited about things like this because it's not... I mean, I guess you can absolutely tutor for Walk the Aeons. You can tutor for Azusa. So, I mean, it's there.
Yeah.
But you're playing with the new Simic stuff. So, I mean...
Well, I guess the other thing is that, people's concern. Yes, you need Azusa to play 2 lands, but you could also have Exploration and the Dagger Tooth or whatever.
Wayward Sword Tooth. Or you could have Dryad of Elysian Grove.
There's a million.
There's a bunch that say you can play an extra land on your turn. So
so if you
play all of them.
If you have 2 of those. Yeah, that's the thing. Is pretty much all you have to do is find your sorcery then, right? Your Walk the Aeons.
Are you saying Sloguk with Walk the Aeons and Azusa is easy mode magic?
I'm not saying it's easy mode. You still have to get to 9.
You do need 9, but you're also in Simic. Simic players are currently leaving.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not listening to this show anymore.
Oh, great. We don't have any more Simic players listening to the Guardian Project podcast, the project developed by the Simic Combine.
Yeah.
Just come back. It's fine. Sometimes we hate the things that we do. All right. So the next combo we have here is featuring our brand new card called Enduring Angel. But really we don't care about Enduring Angel. Enduring Angel has a backside, but I'll explain it. So Enduring Angel, it has a 2 white. You get a 3/3 angel with flying, double strike, and it grants you hexproof. If your life total would be reduced to 0 or less, instead transform Enduring Angel and your life total becomes 3. Then if Enduring Angel didn't transform this way, you lose the game. So hopefully we're not losing the game, and we get to transform our Enduring Angel into Angelic Enforcer. Angelic Enforcer is a flying angel that also says that you have hexproof, and Angelic Enforcer's power and toughness are each equal to your life total. Whenever Angelic Enforcer attacks, you double your life total. This is actually a 2-card combo with the Naya enchantment called Mael's Aria, which I have played in a deck before. I played it in my Ramos Dragon Engine deck. So for a red, a green, and a white, you get an enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control if you control a creature with power 5 or greater. Then you gain 10 life if you control a creature with power 10 or greater. Then you win the game if you control a creature with power 20 or greater. So I did have to look up and make sure that this is actually how Miles Aria would resolve, one thing at a time as it goes down and not all at the same time. That is actually how it resolves. So for this combo, the prerequisite is to have Angelic Enforcer and Miles Aria on the battlefield. And you have at least 9 life. So you're going to be transforming it at 3 life. You're going to have to gain 6 life somehow. Maybe you're going to do it with your lifelink angel that you have. You have hexproof though, so no one's going to lightning bolt you, which is kind of nice. Not to say that your angel is within lightning bolt when you transform it. But the steps are, at the beginning of your upkeep, Miles Aria is going to trigger. So our Angelic Enforcer is at 9 current power and toughness because we're at 9 life total. Miles Aria is going to trigger. We have a creature with at least 5 power, so we're going to put a +1/+1 counter on each creature we control. Now our angel is power 10, and it's going to see the second ability of Miles Aria that says when it triggers, you gain 10 life, and that's going to make Angelic Enforcer's power then 20 because it's equal to your life total plus, so you got 19 life plus a +1/+1 counter. Now it's at 20 life, and then the third part of Miles Aria is going to trigger. And since you have a creature with at least 20 power, you win the game.
Mind blown.
Right? It takes a lot. It's a 2-card combo that takes a ton to put together.
It's a ton of work. But still, when you see that though, I hope I lose to that. I always want to lose to all these combos we talk about here because they're all so fun.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, I guess it would, if you could like flash out Miles Aria. I mean, I just think transforming Enduring Angel is going to be the hardest thing in the world. The number of times that someone hits you with one big blast to kill you probably isn't that high. It's probably more of the time like someone swinging 100 creatures at you, in which case your life total is only being reduced to 0 once. Every time past that, it's being reduced to -1, -2, -3, -4. So
yeah. So that seems really hard to pull off.
Yeah, it does.
So let's go back to Magic on Easy mode here with Sloguk again. So one Oozy boy. Gross. But we're going to go back to Sloguk here. But we're going to go with an infinite +1/+1 counter, infinite mill, infinite shuffle back in combo here.
Sure.
So Sloguk the Overslime, again, whenever a land is put into a graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Sloguk to return it to its owner's hand. And whenever it leaves the battlefield, return 3 target lands from your graveyard to your hand. It does have trample. Mm-hmm. We're going to combine this with Lightning Greaves, a very commonly used equipment here. So for 2 mana, you get an equipment that says equipped creature has haste and shroud, equip 0. We're going to play Gaia's Blessing, a sorcery that costs 1 and a green that says target player shuffles up to 3 target cards from their graveyard into the library. It says draw a card, and also has when Gaia's Blessing is put into your graveyard from your library, shuffle your graveyard into your library. And finally, we have Cephalid Illusionist, which is a 1/1 Cephalid Wizard for 1 and a blue that says whenever Cephalid Illusionist becomes the target of a spell or ability, put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. It also has pay 2 and a blue, tap it. This turn, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to and by target creature you control. Relevant. I mean, that's still very cool. What we're going to do here is just have Sloguk and Cephalid Illusionist on the battlefield with Lightning Greaves. Gaia's Blessing needs to be in your library. And what you're going to do is you're just going to move Lightning Greaves and equip it from Sloguk to Cephalid Illusionist, and then back to Sloguk, then back to Cephalid Illusionist. And every time it gets equipped to Cephalid Illusionist, it became the target of an ability. So you're going to mill yourself 3. And I assume you play lands in your deck. So every time a land hits the graveyard, you're going to put a +1/+1 counter on Sloguk. And you're eventually going to mill Gaia's Blessing, which is going to shuffle all your cards back into your library. It's really good.
I'm just trying to imagine a Goblin Charbelcher Simic build right now where you don't play any lands.
So you're just going to do that, and then you're going to end whenever you decide you want to be done. I assume you're going to end when you shuffle your whole graveyard back in your library. Don't end and like just have half your library milled. My suggestion.
Okay.
Pro tip. And then you're going to put the Lightning Greaves on Sloguk. It then has haste and shroud, and it has trample, and you take out 1 person.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then maybe you're running cards like Ram Through, and you want to just also take out another person after moving the Greaves. off of it because that's Shroud.
Yeah.
Really, really fun way to do that. It's a 4-card combo, but you only have, it's a 4-card combo, but doesn't, it's a weird combo that doesn't physically require you to have that 4th card ever in your hand.
Right.
Or to cast it or to use it. Just, it's like, oops, got milled. It's like the Eldrazi when it hits the graveyard and shuffle everything back in. It's on a Gaia's Blessing.
This was actually, this Cephalid is actually part of the old Protean Hulk combo. In combination, there's a white creature that, like, it says, like, the next 1 damage that target creature would take, this creature takes instead. And you would just target Cephalid to mill your whole deck, and then you would have a Laboratory Maniac-like effect as part of the Hulk pile as well. But I have never heard of Cephalid since Hulk got banned, actually, so it's really cool to see it, see some use.
I guess you could use the original Eldrazi as well, Kozilek and Ulamog, as redundant Gaia's Blessings.
Hey, sometimes someone exiles your graveyard with the trigger on the stack.
I mean,
you need some redundant effects.
Yeah. So if you're looking to mill in Simic, you got some more options here.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Next combo we have. I know we said it was hard. We went to an easy one. This one's, in my opinion, also a very difficult one.
Okay.
But I love when someone figured this out. This interaction with Doubling Cube. Spoiler, we're using Doubling Cube in this combo. So Lord of the Forsaken is our brand new card from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. For 6 mana, 4 black, you get a 6/6 demon with flying and trample that has 2 activated abilities. We can pay a black and sacrifice another creature to have target player mill 3 cards. Or we can pay 1 life to add a generic mana to our mana pool. You can only spend this mana to cast a spell from your graveyard. In combination with the creatures Emil the Blessed from Jumpstart. Yeah, we have the Unicorn for 4 mana, so 2 white. You get a 4/4 Unicorn that has the activated ability of pay 3 generic mana to exile another target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Whenever another ability says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under control, you may pay a hybrid green-white. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. If it's a Unicorn, put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. The third creature we have here is Felidar Guardian from Aether Revolt, 4 mana, 1/4, 3 and a white cat beast. When it enters the battlefield, you get to blink another one of your creatures. Is it permanents? It's permanents, not creatures. Permanents, that's right, because that's how it worked with Saheeli Rai back in Standard. And then we have Doubling Cube. Doubling Cube is a 2 mana artifact that you can pay 3 and tap it to double the amount of each type of mana in your mana pool. It is important to note that the mana that Doubling Cube makes does not have the same criteria that the mana that was in the pool had. And the reason we know this is actually because of Jeweled Lotus from Commander Legends. Actually produces 3 mana of any one color that can only be used on your commander, but with Doubling Cube, you actually are able to produce 3 more mana that can be used for anything. So the prerequisites for this combo are all permanents are on the battlefield, you have at least 3 generic mana available, and you have at least 8 life. So you activate Lord of the Forsaken by paying 7 life to add 7 generic mana that can only be spent to cast spells from your graveyard. You activate Doubling Cube with the 3 generic mana that you had available at the beginning of the turn to double your unspent mana to 14 colorless, 7 of which you can use on anything. You can activate Emil the Blessed by paying 3, exiling and returning Felidar Guardian to the battlefield. Felidar Guardian then blinks your Doubling Cube, untapping it. You still have 4 generic mana left over. You use 3 of it to tap it and create, well, this time you're going to create another 8 because you're doubling whatever is in your mana pool and you still have 1 generic mana left over. So what this is going to do is create an infinite amount of colorless mana. You're going to have infinite enter the battlefield triggers, infinite flicker and landfall, and leave the battlefield triggers. So whatever you can do with that, I know it's kind of a convoluted combo to put together in the Abzan colors, so Emil can't be your commander for this or anything, and you're in like an Abzan blink strategy with this sort of combo, so not sure how well it's going to be able to be put together and work, but at the same time, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this one's a cool one. Before we move on from Lord of the Forsaken, though, we do have another combo here. This one's much easier. It's only 2 cards. But again, you're only in black and white here. So again, Lord of the Forsaken, flying trample 6/6, pay black, sacrifice another creature, target player mills 3, or pay a life, add generic to your mana pool only to cast spells from your graveyard. Combining that with the card Near Death Experience, 2 generic white, it's an enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 1 life, you win the game. All you have to do is play Lord of the Forsaken and Near Death Experience past the turn. And at the end of your opponent's turn, you pay all but 1 life to get a bunch of generic mana that you're not going to use. I mean, maybe you can use it. Maybe you have a spell you can cast from your graveyard, but you're probably not going to use it. You don't need it. I'm telling you, you don't need it. Just go to 1 life. At your upkeep, you have exactly 1 life. You're just going to win the game.
That's right.
That's it. Assuming they don't ping you or bolt you or shock you, anything.
Even like let you. Well, I guess if they have you gain life, you could just spend it again and lose the life back.
With
the trigger on the stack.
Yep.
I think
they just have to. They just have to do enough.
They just have to do literally anything.
They have to. They can't have you gain. They have to have you lose.
That's right.
So, Lord of the Forsaken near death experience. I've never seen near death experience win a game.
No.
But this seems pretty cool.
Yeah, I imagine it's happened before with cards like Necropotence and stuff. It's fun to see it on a creature, something more easily tutorable in a black deck than an enchantment. So
yeah,
very cool. All right, so the next one we have here is revolving around the Meat Hook Massacre, brand new card. Meat Hook Massacre is an X-black legendary enchantment. This is whenever the Meat Hook Massacre enters the battlefield, each creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. And whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you gain 1 life. In combination with the card Rot Hulk, which is 7 mana zombie 5/5, so for 5 black, you get a creature that has menace, and when Rot Hulk enters the battlefield, return up to X target zombie cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of opponents you have. You have Godhead of Awe, which actually is a replaceable part of this particular combo. Or no, no, it's not a replaceable part of this particular combo. The next part is Godhead of Awe is a 5 mana 4/4 spirit avatar, so hybrid blue-white 5 times, for a flyer that says other creatures are 1 power, 1 toughness. And then the replaceable part of this combo is actually anything, whether it's a creature, an enchantment, an artifact, that is going to have all creatures get -1/-1. So in this particular case, we're looking at Knight of Soul's Betrayal for 4 mana, 2 black. Legendary enchantment says all creatures get -1/-1. The prerequisites are you have Rot Hulk in your hand and all other permanents on the battlefield. You have at least 1 opponent, which I hope you do. And
if you didn't, you won.
And 7 available mana, 2 of it being black in order to cast Rot Hulk. So first step is you cast Rot Hulk. Rot Hulk dies to state-based actions because your creatures are 1/1s that are getting -1/-1. When Rot Hulks enter the battlefield is put onto the stack, it dies, and then it can trigger targeting itself, returning itself to the battlefield, and die again. And then with Meat Hook Massacre on the battlefield, it's going to cause an infinite amount of life gain, death triggers, and life loss, and enter the battlefield effects. So it's just, using Meat Hook Massacre as another way to have a Zulaport Cutthroat. But in this particular case, Zulaport Cutthroat would be dying to your combo. So it's important that it is an enchantment. So I guess Bastion of Remembrance?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Now, have you seen this movie?
I have not.
I have not either. But if you did not know, there is a movie from 2015 called Meat Hook Massacre. And I want to read to you the premise of this movie. It says, 3 young women encounter car trouble on the way to a Dragon's Claw concert during a rainstorm. Dragon's Claw. They are forced to go seek help where, one by bloody one, they are attacked by a masked maniac and hung on meat hooks. Who will survive, and what will be left of them? Now, it does only have a 4.3 rating on IMDb, so I assume it's not great. But I will tell you, Meat Hook Massacre 2 has a 4.3 rating, and then Meat Hook Massacre, the final chapter, has a rating of 5.9.
Wow, the final chapter?
It's the final chapter.
Up their game.
We are wrapping up the massacre. It has been massacring for 3 full movies. If you've watched these, can you tell us what your thoughts are? Because this is a real movie. It's a real thing. So that must be what's being depicted on the card.
I mean, it's got to be, right?
People are going to the Dragon's Claw concert. It's definitely raining outside in that artwork, I'm sure. We just don't see it.
And no Dragon's Claws for you.
No, none for you. Oh my gosh. All right. So we have another combo here with the card Triskaidekaphile.
Oh.
So Triskaidekaphile is a card that says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 13 or more cards in your hand, you win the game. Can you believe that?
I can believe it.
So what you're doing here is we're really just we're trying to get 13 cards into our hand.
That's what we got.
So combining that with cards like Peer into the Abyss or a discard outlet and an extra turn spell, you're going to be able to do this. So you're going to draw a lot of cards, discard down until you have 13, take an extra turn. At your upkeep, you're just going to win.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. So Triskaidekaphile, it's a human wizard, a 1/3 for 1 and a blue. It says you have no max hand size at the beginning of your upkeep. You have exactly 13 cards in your hand. You win the game. Pay 3 and a blue to draw a card. We're just gonna try to draw like all the cards. Yeah. Put them all into our hand, and then anything that says you can discard a card. So you're gonna discard a card down until you have 13, and you're just gonna win the game.
Yeah, I like the fact that you don't technically need to like draw your whole deck and then discard down to 13. You could do, if there's a way to produce infinite amount of mana with Triskaidekaphile, you can just use their ability to draw cards up to 13 right before your upkeep. Those particular combos maybe aren't as exciting because it's just Isochron Scepter with Dramatic Reversal under it or something, just to fit in your colors. But I think it's really cool. Maybe Mono Blue didn't need another alternate win condition that involved drawing cards and getting down to a low amount of cards in your library. But at the same time, I always like seeing the alternate win condition, so I'm not going to complain.
Yep, I'm not either.
All right, so the next combo we have here is revolving around an uncommon enchantment aura called Necrosynthesis. So for 1 and a black, you get an enchant creature aura. This is enchant creature has, whenever another creature dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And when the enchanted creature dies, you look at the top X cards of your library, where X is its power, put one of those cards into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. In combination with Phyrexian Altar, which we've talked about before, and Herd Baloth. Herd Baloth is a 5-mana 4/4 beast. This is whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Herd Baloth, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token. This particular creature can actually be replaced in this combo by a card called Scurry Oak, which is another brand new card from Modern Horizons 2. And Scurry Oak is a 3-mana 1/2 tree folk with Evolve. It says whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on Scurry Oak, you may create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token. So the important part here is every time a +1/+1 counter is put on one of these creatures, they are going to be making another creature. We're going to be sacrificing that other creature to Phyrexian Altar to create a mana of any color. This is going to then trigger Necrosynthesis, putting another +1/+1 counter on the creature. Again, making another creature. So we're going to have infinite enter the battlefield effects, leave the battlefield effects, death triggers, and mana of any color, while also creating an enormous Herd Baloth or Scurry Oak in case we have the ability to fling it or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we only have time for a few more combos. So let's go ahead and each pick one more. So I am going to do one that's pretty quick. So this is Eloise, Nephalia Sleuth, and March of the Machines. So Eloise, again, a 4/4 human rogue, 3 a blue and a black. Whenever another creature you control dies, investigate. Whenever you sack a token, surveil one. March of the Machine says each non-creature artifact is an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. So you basically just have March of the Machine and Eloise, Nephalia Sleuth on the battlefield, and a clue. When both are on the battlefield, the clue is going to become it's going to die because it will be a 0/0, which is going to cause infinite death triggers and force a draw if you don't have a way to stop it. Because Eloise says whenever another creature you control dies, it doesn't say non-token creature. So because the token is the creature, you're just creating a loop. So I guess if you have like a Bastion of Remembrance or a Zulaport Cutthroat or a Blood Artist or a Aura, whatever else it is that you want, Eloise and March of the Machines with one single clue ends the game. So please have a way to win, because I have done this myself. Not this, but I have done this with Life and Limb and turning things into forest with my Slimefoot deck at one point, going, oh shoot, I don't have a way to stop this.
That's right.
This is fun. I love when things come to a screeching halt. You go, oops, or a draw. I didn't realize it happened. So if I built Eloise, 100% I'm putting March of the Machines.
You got to do it.
You have to do it.
I mean, if someone removes your Zulaport, it's going to be a draw. You want to draw, or do you want to lose? I mean, those are your two choices. Right?
Yeah, we want to draw.
All right, so I will choose one. I'm going to choose a complicated one here because I wrote it out and I want to say it. So this one is involving your namesake currently right now, Andy.
My Twitter handle, Old Stick Fingers.
Old Stick Fingers is an X black-green horror that power is ****. This is whenever you cast a spell, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards. Put all creature cards revealed this way into your graveyard, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Old Stick Fingers' power and toughness are each equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. In combination with a very little known card called Necrotic Ooze, definitely not known.
No one even knows what that is, Coyle.
No one knows. So Necrotic Ooze is a 4-mana, 4/3, 2 black. You get an ooze. It says as long as Necrotic Ooze is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all creatures in all graveyards. Another creature we're going to have is Devoted Druid, a 2-mana 0/2 elf druid that taps for a green, and you can put a -1/-1 counter on Devoted Druid to untap Devoted Druid. Channeler Initiate from Amonkhet, you get a 3/4 for 2 mana. It says Channeler Initiate enters the battlefield with 3 -1/-1 counters on a creature you control. Then you can tap it to remove a -1/-1 counter from Channeler Initiate to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And finally, two more cards. One more here is Soul of Innistrad. Very on flavor for our Innistrad Midnight Hunt combo episodes. 6 mana, 6/6, 4 black. You get an avatar with Death Touch with 2 different abilities. For 3 black and a black, you can either activate it to return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, or if it's in your graveyard, you can use 3 black and exile it from your graveyard to return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand that way. The final creature here is Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista is an XX construct with it's a 0/0, enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. You can use 4 generic mana to put a +1/+1 counter on Walking Ballista and remove a +1/+1 counter from Walking Ballista and to deal 1 damage to any target. So the prerequisites for this are Old Stick Fingers is in your command zone or in your hand, and all other cards are in your library. And there's no other creatures in your library.
So you can't have any other creatures.
0.
This is the deck we were looking for.
This is
not quite there yet on the website, but it has been confirmed by our judges.
Yes. You also are going to need 7 mana on the first turn and 9 mana that can be paid on a later turn in order to make this. So it's very mana intensive, and it's a 2-turn combo.
Wait, 11 mana, right? 9
black? 9 black.
So 11 mana on another turn.
Yeah, 7 this turn, 9 or 11 at another turn. So the color identity is in Golgari, though, which is nice. So you can have Old Stick Fingers as your commander for this. So the first step is to cast Old Stick Fingers for X = 5 to put all 5 of your creatures in your library into your graveyard. You then pay the 5 mana to activate Soul of Innistrad from your command zone to return only Necrotic Ooze to your hand. You pay 4 mana to cast Necrotic Ooze, and then you have to have a way of either giving Necrotic Ooze haste, or you move on to the next turn so it no longer has Summoning Sickness, so that it can use some of the tap abilities that are currently in the graveyard. So you tap Necrotic Ooze using Devoted Druid's ability to add a green to your mana pool. You untap it by using Devoted Druid's ability to put a -1/-1 counter on it. Then you can tap it to remove a -1/-1 counter to produce 1 mana of any ability using Channeler Initiate. And you repeat this over and over until you have infinite mana, and then you can activate Walking Ballista's ability for 4 to put a +1/+1 counter on it infinite number of times until you have enough counters on it to bolt everyone down on the board.
I love this so much. When we were talking about the decks the commanders we wanted to build, when we talked about the previews, this was one where I said, or something combo with this. Someone has figured it out.
I think there's an easier way to do it.
Yeah?
I think you can do it with same thing with Necrotic Ooze being your win condition, but simply with Phyrexian Devourer and Walking Ballista. Phyrexian Devourer has an activated ability that says remove the top card of your library from the game and put X +1/+1 counters on Phyrexian Devourer, where X is the remove card's converted mana cost.
Yep.
And you have to sacrifice it if it's 7 or greater, but we're going to activate everything in response to that trigger anyways, and exile cards to put a bunch of +1/+1 counters on our Necrotic Ooze and then kill everyone with the Walking Ballista that way. I don't think you need to produce infinite mana. Maybe there's a scenario
where I think it just says
have...
you can produce infinite here.
Well, that's true, but you need the infinite mana to put infinite +1/+1 counters using Walking Ballista's ability in this one.
But the other one, if someone interrupts in some manner, you have to exile those cards from your library.
You do,
and you do have to have high enough mana values, because you don't get those counters for just lands.
Exactly. So, you have to have at least 120 CMC in your deck or mana value in your deck, and that's if no one gained any life.
And and no one has taken any
right
either. So No, I like it. These were a lot of fun. Thank you again to everybody who sent us some combos to look at. And Commander Spellbook is such a wonderful website. If you don't take a look at it or you haven't seen it before, go check them out. That is commanderspellbook.com. And we want to hear about what combos you are playing or are planning to play. And send those to us. Tweet them at us. Send pictures when you combo out. That's it for this week. You can find me on Twitter at ATFloyd.
And you can find me on Twitter at WormCoilEngine. And of course, we want to give a special thanks to Ryan Nichols, our producer and editor. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And also to Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design. Thank you so much for everything that you do. And to all that you listen, we wouldn't do this without you. And we're going to talk to you next week.
See ya.
Bye.